Hey everybody, Adam here, Subwizard Podcast. Before we get into our streaming recommendations, I'm finally going to remember you to ask up front if you could subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow our audience. So every week we try to give a movie and a series recommendation since we're all stuck at home and locked down and we need more things to watch. I try to pick from different streaming platforms to increase the chances that you have one or the other, hopefully both. So let's dive right into the movie. The movie is an Amazon Prime original and is called The Vast of Night. This is a really cool kind of masterclass in minimalist filmmaking. It's essentially two main characters, some phone calls, and a few side players here and there. It takes place in small town 1950s America, and it absolutely nails the time period. I mean, everything looks period authentic. It feels right. The lingo feels right without being too much just to camp it up. Obviously, I didn't live in 1950s small town America, but from everything I know, everything I've seen, and just the overall feel of the movie, it feels spot on. This is also a movie that clearly had some talent behind it, but they weren't names that I recognized. It was written and directed by Andrew Patterson. I'm unfamiliar with his work as far as the name goes, but The Vast of Night is absolutely worth checking out. And it's probably worth doing a deep dive on this guy to see what else he's done because he really nailed it. It stars Sierra McCormick and Jake Horowitz. Again, they're actors I've not really heard of. I'm pretty sure Jake Horowitz I've seen in a couple other things, but I can't really place them. And part of it, and this is a minor complaint about the series, part of it is that it mostly takes place at night and a lot of it takes place outdoors. And the picture is really, really dark. Darker than it really should be. Kind of a smaller complaint because the overall story is really cool. Speaking of the overall story, it's essentially a aspiring radio DJ of the time and this girl who works a switchboard who are friends find a signal, and they're trying to figure out what the signal is, and the thought is alien. And then they get some mysterious feedback from callers on the radio program that lend credibility to the story. Sorry, I'm being very careful with my words, trying not to spoil it. It plays out like a Twilight Zone episode, obviously longer, but it doesn't feel overly long. It does this weird thing where it bookends it with kind of a Twilight Zone-esque show, and I'm not really sure why, because they dip into it a little bit where they make it look like you're watching the TV show at one point where Sierra McCormick's character is running around, but they don't lean on it too often. It doesn't really add to the story. It was kind of a weird device that maybe made sense in earlier versions of the script and got dropped or whatever happened. Either way, that's a minor issue. The Vast of Night is very awesome. Amazon Prime original. Definitely watch it. And the series I'm going to recommend is not the first series that I had picked for this. I was really excited for Greg Daniels' Space Force show on Netflix until I saw it. Your series recommendation is an HBO original, also available on Amazon Prime, oddly enough, but I've been watching it on HBO Max. You can watch it on HBO, HBO Go, HBO Now. I don't know why we have so many HBOs, but it's there. It's accessible. The series is called Run. It's created by Vicky Jones, and it stars Merritt Wever and Domhnall Gleeson. Domhnall Gleeson was the draw for me. I think he's really good. General Hux in the new Star Wars trilogy, obviously. He had a great Black Mirror episode. He was really good in the Christopher Robin movie. And he was really good in Ex Machina. The guy really delivers on his performances, and this is no exception. And what I liked about this is he kind of plays against type a little bit as the series goes on and you discover more about the characters. Merritt Wever I was less familiar with. I know I recognize her. I know she's been in things. I didn't have a strong opinion one way or the other because of my lack of familiarity with her. This is actually a show I put on because I was trying to get some stuff done that didn't require full concentration, so I was going to put it on in the background. And it ended up grabbing me, and instead of watching one or two episodes while I tied something up, I'm halfway through episode 6 right now. It's an interesting concept. These two people who dated after high school, early college, had this pact that if one of them texted run and the other one texted the same thing back, they would meet at Grand Central Station, New York City, and do a cross-country train trip in a week, and then at the end of the trip, they would have to decide if they're going to stay together or call it quits and never see each other again, never speak again, break all contact. Pretty extreme, pretty insane concept to think that people would actually follow through on it, but it gets the story moving, and then as the series delves into the characters' lives and you learn more about them, you learn the reasons why they did respond to it or initiated it in the first place, and they're obviously keeping secrets from each other. It's something like 19 years later, so they have established lives that are nothing like their lives when they were dating. It was interesting enough, or it is interesting enough and good enough, that I think it's worth the recommendation. The performances are really good. The only thing I'll warn you on is it's billed as a comedy. It's not funny. There's a couple lighter moments of levity, but just because you put levity into a drama doesn't make it a comedy. It is definitely not a comedy. Well, there you have it. Those are your recommendations. You have The Vast of Night on Amazon Prime, and you have Run, which is an HBO original, but also available on Amazon Prime. Thanks for watching. Again, please remember to subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow our audience. Also, make sure to go to SubWizardPodcast.com for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, and more. Listen to Subwizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. Subwizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get 2 bonus episodes, help support the show. A little bit really goes a long way. Let us know what you think. What have you been watching? Drop us a note in the comments or leave us something on social media. All the accounts will be found after the show. Thanks.